Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Whatcha Gonna Queue, the only video series in which one of the co-hosts has been dead the whole time. For those of you who may be new to the show, Whatcha Gonna Queue is a weekly video series in which we highlight some of the best titles that Netflix has to offer, with recommendations broken down into 3 categories. Instant Karma, where we recommend some of the best instant titles to watch before they expire. What the F is This, where we highlight some of the obscure or overlooked titles buried in the annals of Netflix. And For Your Consideration, where the recommended titles tie into a timely, predetermined cinematic theme. As always, I'm one of your co-hosts, Jim Ronan.
And I'm one of your other co-hosts, Alex Rabinowitz.
And we like to congratulate and thank everybody who participated in and won our free DVD giveaway. It was a raucous and enjoyable time for everybody involved, I'm sure. A lot of fun times, a lot of fun t-shirts. And before we begin the show, we'd also like to give a shout out to our friends over at the podcast The Golden Briefcase, co-hosts Jeremy Kirk and Tim Buell, who were kind enough to reference us on their episode 59 podcast, The Summer Awaiting. It's one of the best film podcasts out there, guys, so if you are like Alex and I and really like to listen to podcasts, specifically of the film variety, you should go over and check them out at firstshowing.net/category/podcast. But Alex, enough about other people's shows. Let's get into our show.
Okay. From the team that brought you Wet Hot American Summer comes a new cult comedy of biblical proportions, The 10, directed by David Wain, written by Ken Marino and David Wain. The 10 is an anthology film told in 10 parts, each one representing one of the 10 commandments. The various vignettes feature many recognizable faces from film, television, and comedy.
Hey, you busy?
Just gonna fold this piece of paper for a while, but I can do that later.
If Wet Hot American Summer is David Wain's loopy, nostalgia-driven send-up of teen movies, then The 10 is his tribute to the great sketch comedy films of the past, as well as the Sunday school film reels and VHS tapes about morality.
I was a fan of Wet Hot American Summer, but obviously sketch comedy is kind of hit or miss, especially when it comes to transitioning from TV to film adaptations. Obviously, some of the past Saturday Night Live titles have not really been that great. Kids in the Hall, Brain Candy didn't really translate too well either. So, but does The 10 make that transition, because it's not really a standard narrative film exactly?
Yeah, and that's what's so great about it. I think a lot of films based on sketch comedy falter in that they try to make a 5-minute sketch an hour and a half long. So what this movie does is it gets in, it tells its story, it's funny, it's memorable, and then it gets out. And each scene has plenty of memorable lines and just crazy situations. And then what it does also on top of that is they manage to tie things up very well and kind of weave the stories together. And then in the end, it's this big just jubilation of all of it at once. And it's really awesome.
Come on, Ray, don't be ridiculous.
I'm sorry, honey, I didn't see you there.
And obviously, people who are familiar with Wet Hot American Summer and the comedic exploits of David Wain in the past will know at least what to expect in terms of the casting. It's just a veritable who's who of comedy.
Yeah, comedy and then film and television as well. It's comedy nerds in particular are going to shit themselves. The cast is out of control. Let me tell you who is in this movie.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Wait. Yes.
In The 10 are Paul Rudd, Adam Brody, John Hamm, Winona Ryder, Ken Marino, Famke Janssen, Gretchen Mol, 80 Miles, Jason Sudeikis, Justin Theroux, Liev Schreiber, Jessica Alba, Oliver Platt, Tom Lennon, Joe Latrulio, Janine Garofalo, Rob Corddry, Michael Ian Black, Rashida Jones, H. John Benjamin, Bobby Cannavale, Ben Grant, Carrie Kinney, and Michael Showalter.
Oh, sorry, you're done? Okay, so when does The 10 expire?
The 10 expires June 1st, and to miss it would be a sin.
Well, speaking of sins, I noticed that you lied to me. You didn't actually get a haircut last week, as you said you had.
I didn't have time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I trust you anymore. But while we're on the topic of not trusting people, why don't we get right into section 2 with my recommendation. Last Year at Marienbad begins at a party in an elaborate chateau where a man, cryptically credited as X, approaches a woman, cryptically credited as A, and tries to convince her that they met at that very same spot 1 year ago. But did they? Alain Resnais' enigmatic and polarizing French New Wave classic heavily blurs the lines between dreams, memories, fantasy, and reality, layering story upon story and constantly fluctuating chronology in one of the most disorienting films of all time.
Parce que vous avez peur. Ne reconnaissez-vous pas non plus cette photographie?
Now, Alex, by no means am I a fan of the French New Wave. I don't particularly dig the style of filmmaking that it really proliferated, nor am I a fan of the obnoxious, pretentious fans that it allowed to create and thrive and make children in this world. But I really, really dig Last Year at Marienbad because of just how extreme it goes and just disregarding all rules of conventional filmmaking. I gotta really admire a film that just goes way out into left field, just doesn't give a shit about anything that came before it.
Yeah, but is it too extreme? I mean, how far gone is it?
Really far gone. Alain Resnais with Last Year at Marienbad does everything he possibly can to disorient and unsettle you as an audience. What he does is there's a lot of sequences and scenes that take place with drastic changes. They may be having the same conversation twice, but there's changes in location, changes in costume. There's just this disembodied narrator, and you're not sure who it is that's actually saying anything. There are recreations of scenes, but you're never really sure, okay, is this a flashback, or is he making this up completely? There's just these weird, surrealist art elements to it.
Now, Alain Resnais has said, he famously said, that he didn't intend for this movie to mean anything. How does that affect your reading of this film?
Yeah, a bold and, in my opinion, hilarious declaration. I actually think that some people would think that that kind of destroys the art in the meeting, but you know, I disagree. I think it actually adds a layer of personal interpretation to it, because different people now can approach this as a blank slate and read whatever they want to into it. Some people can interpret it as, well, Last Year at Marienbad is all about the fleetingness of memories and recollection, how things aren't always as we remember them to be, whereas somebody else could watch the film and think, well, no, this is all about a woman trying to repress her past, trying not to remember the abusive relationship that she had with this guy 1 year ago. So I think, you know, everybody can kind of get something else out of it.
This is all very, very familiar to me.
You read these prevents me, see him as all you that one. So it's not as one, Veros, and underscript in the fuss, and if na Eris Nemaka, is Nemak, Viscal for fuss, as Veros. Yeah, when it's almost as they get here, because they get the Veros, isn't it? If anyone out there considers him or herself to be an overachiever, then I would challenge him or her to take a look at the resume of Woody Allen, who has directed over 40 films, written over 60, and ever since breaking on the scene with his actual directorial debut, Take the Money and Run, has directed at least one film every single year since 1982. He's also been married 3 times and has admitted that he's made more money flipping real estate than he has making movies. Kind of puts your stamp collection to shame, doesn't it? Well, this weekend, his most recent film, Midnight in Paris, comes out in limited release, and to honor one of the most prolific filmmakers of all time, consider for your consideration our most neurotic, as we dedicate it to the films of Woody Allen.
How'd you know about my stamp collection?
There's a lot of things I know about you I wish I could forget.
Yay! Woody Allen gets nostalgic on us with Radio Days, a look back at the golden age of radio in the 1940s. Told through a series of vignettes, Allen writes and directs stories about a working-class family in Rockaway Beach, New York, and the famous radio personalities inhabiting the time as well. Mia Farrow, Diane Wiest, Mike Starr, Wallace Shawn, and a young Seth Green appear amongst many others.
Pay more attention to your schoolwork and less to the radio.
You always listen to the radio.
It's different. Our lives are ruined already.
I'm getting a little obscure with my Woody Allen pick. The guy has made, like you said, over 40 films, directed over 40 films since 1966. He has had a long career and, made a lot of great films. Radio Days probably wouldn't be in most Woody Allen fans' top 10, maybe even top 20, but I'm not every Woody Allen fan.
And I'm just happy that you're recommending a film in which Woody Allen isn't clearly sucking at the teat of Ingmar Bergman. But I noticed you're going for another anthology film. Should we have maybe made the theme anthology films, Alex? I'm picking up a pattern here.
Yeah, it's odd that I picked another anthology film, but Radio Days excels in a lot of the same ways that The 10 does. It's very funny. Each vignette is really, really funny and cleverly tied together. But what's so great about the movie is that every part of it contributes to its grand thematic and its love for radio culture and the 1940s.
If you love me, you'd leave your wife and marry me.
I can't do that. Our ratings are too high.
And Woody Allen certainly knows a thing or two about relationship drama, both cinematically and relationally actuality as well. So Radio Days is kind of significant because there's actually, in a certain way, kind of a blurring of those two lines.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a Woody Allen film without some personal drama. And this movie is actually the only one of his 40-plus career to feature both of his muses, Mia Farrow and Diane Keaton. And like The Ten, it has an expansive cast. I'd like our viewers to look out for cameos from William H. Macy, Larry David, and Jeff Daniels.
Sounds a bit like a cinematic cheeseburger, which features my two muses, bacon and beef. But clearly we are not going with popular Woody Allen picks here. You going with something a little bit more obscure, and my going with something a little bit more recent. Vicky Cristina Barcelona. While vacationing in Barcelona on a summer holiday, best friends Vicky, played by Rebecca Hall, and Cristina, played by Scarlett Johansson, inadvertently and unknowingly fall for the same handsome painter, Juan Antonio, as played by Javier Bardem. Little do any of them know that his fiery ex-wife Maria Elena, played by Penelope Cruz, is about to re-enter the picture. Breathtakingly beautiful at times and characteristically cynical at others, Vicky Cristina Barcelona speaks just as much to the siren song of romance as it does to the exotic allure.
Who exactly is going to make love?
Hopefully the three of us.
This guy, he doesn't beat around the bush. Look, senor, maybe in a different life.
Now, with the exception of probably Match Point, a lot of Woody Allen's recent work hasn't been very well received. It's been criticized for kind of being soft, the comedy isn't really intelligent, funny, and the drama is not really as insightful and poignant as it used to be. I think Vicky Cristina Barcelona actually gets back to a lot of elements that characterize his earlier films in regards to both narrative functions and also just in how he's looking at and exploring the nuances and complications of relationships and just human sexuality in general.
Right, and like his earlier films, the characters are very heavily influenced by the environment around them.
Yeah, it's a very romantic environment around them. I mean, you have Juan Antonio, who is this Spanish painter, and his father, you know, is in love with poetry. And when Vicky and Juan Antonio first get involved, it's after they've just, you know, gone to a Spanish guitar concert at night in the countryside and they've been drinking wine. You know, there's a very alluring romantic feel to it. But all the characters, to a certain degree, are unwilling to acknowledge the fact that they are all kind of messed up and relationally confused in some way. And when you approach that to these different cultures, these romantic cultures, that's not going to make your problems go away. That's just going to exacerbate the situation.
You went through my luggage? Who knew what I would find there? After all, I had thoughts of killing you. What?
But at least they're in a place that looks good.
Yeah, absolutely. Woody Allen gives Barcelona the Manhattan treatment, and just how the film is very much almost kind of a love letter to the city and to the countryside. He frames a lot of shots and a lot of scenes in just this beautiful, expansive country. You know, they have picnics out underneath the beautiful sun, and it really enhances the city's architecture and some of the art. And it really helps that there are beautiful people in it as well. Obviously, Rebecca Hall is very beautiful. This was, you know, her first leading feature film role after everyone kind of knew who she was in The Prestige. Scarlett Johansson, who is very pretty but kind of vapid, actually does a very good job acting in this film.
Nice.
Javier Bardem, who is one of the most handsome men on earth, is in here, and then Penelope Cruz, who is gorgeous and also a talented actress, obviously won Best Supporting Actress for her role in this film.
Right, right. Now you say Javier Bardem's one of the most handsome men in the world, but I don't think he really holds a candle to Alex Rabinowitz.
Well, maybe if Alex Rabinowitz would get that haircut like he promised, then that would actually hold some validity. Well,
true.
Yeah. But I don't want to have this conversation about haircuts anymore. I want to end the show.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to do. Once again, guys, we want to thank you for watching the show. If you want to reach us via our social media outlets, we have plenty of them. We have a Facebook page where we're always posting interesting things and where you can post a picture of your queue if you want some advice. We have a Twitter account where we're always tweeting very interesting and funny things. We have a website where we're always posting blogs on the latest happenings in Netflix, instant streaming, and just movie watching in general. And we have an iTunes page where you can listen and rank us so that we become really awesome on the internet. Well, thanks again, guys. Remember to tune in next week for some more great recommendations and the answer to the question, will Alex have finally gotten a haircut? Until next time, guys, remember, don't knock masturbation. It's sex with somebody I love.